Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program RP-0. This is a recap of the Twitch live stream we did last Wednesday. We started off kind of where we picked up, or where we started up. We started out right where we left off last time, dealing with this 6-crew Lunar Lander. I was really not kind of happy with it. I wanted it to be single stage and to preferably not have to refuel when it was on the surface. This, of course, is a 2-stage. It would ditch the landing legs and 4 of its Disastrous engines on its way back up and hopefully have enough fuel remaining to do so. And also the part count on it is pretty high. We've got a couple of tanks that are 3 parts that could be 1 part, and just some general quality of life and some refinement things to do. So I was just going to give it another pass because I really just wasn't very happy with it. We'll start off by putting a pressurized baseplate tank here at the very bottom. This tank will be a service module type and will be responsible for pressurizing all the fuel that will be fed to the 5 Asterisk 2 engines that we're going to use for the whole thing. Not throwing any of them away, unlike last time. We'll see if we can't get them nicely tucked in for aesthetics sake, and making sure they're all on the same stage. The tank is pressurized and fueled, and then we need to figure out some magical way. I guess the magic number I was looking for was 6 kilometers per second, which gives me just lots and lots and lots of overhead. It was not going to be a thing, just to let you know right away. Totally not going to be a thing. To do a targeted landing for me on the moon usually takes about 3 kilometers per second at delta V. Just a put it anywhere landing can cost as little as like 2,200 ish. It depends on how good you are with gravity losses, I guess, as far as how good a landing you can pull off. Doing a targeted landing takes a whole lot more work, and a lot more precision, costs a lot of fuel, at least when I'm doing it, because I do it by hand. I won't trust MechJeb to take the reins. So we tried a couple of different layouts. I was not happy with this kind of inverted style of things, so I undid everything and put the smaller crew cabin on the bottom, tucked it in as much as I could because space constraints. I don't know, it does look a little cleaner. And then got the engine mount reattached. Of course, not after some trouble. We'll get the engines placed back on. We'll worry about some of the fit and finish a little bit later. We do need that docking port back on there, obviously. And then goofed off with the chat a whole bunch. There was a lot of that this stream. So we're going to try with 4 tanks, initially at least. I think I am going to end up going back to 2 and then putting 2 tanks on the side of those 2 tanks each for a total of 6 fuel tanks. Because this just looks a little weird, and it's also very hard to put things on the side. But getting a feel for about how much fuel tank we are going to need to get anywhere close to our desired delta V numbers, it turns out it's a little ridiculous, and also would require many more engines, which of course means we're hauling around more mass. So it's kind of trying to find and walk that very fine line between what works and what is ridiculous. So I started off just adding 2 smaller tanks to this, which, man, if this game would let me make rectangles, my life could be so much easier. And then just start expanding the size of the fuel tanks until we start to see something close to the delta V numbers I would like. I've decided to settle around 5 kilometers per second. That gives me 2.5 kilometers per second down. Now, really, you can make a successful ascent to orbit and rendezvous with a little over 2 kilometers per second. I think we had like 2,400 in the ascent stage of the old lander, and that gave us a good amount of overhead, generally speaking. So if I can leave the moon with 2,500 meters per second intact of available delta V, I will be pretty happy with that. So that's how far my standards have fallen. Of course, we'll need some RCS control and some landing legs and a few other accessory things that are going to overall impact our numbers pretty greatly. And the sad part is I don't know what the hell's up with the symmetry about why it's duplicating things in weird ways sometimes, but it really just does not want to cooperate most of the time. Anyway, we started getting some thruster placement, hoping that we need good, powerful thrusters because we'll be relying a whole lot on them, as the gimbal from the Astros engine is inadequate, to say the very least. But at least the design profile of this, I know I haven't painted any of the tanks yet, is a little bit better, all in all. We're just going to try to, since we're going to have to dock the entire thing with whatever Artemis is in orbit, or whatever infrastructure we decide to build in orbit, we do need some pretty good thruster control. I did not, however, consult RCS Build Aid, because it makes me want to pull my hair out all the time. But we will get at least a halfway decent paint scheme of mostly dark paints. You know, it's hypergolic fuels. So, I don't know, I guess we don't need to paint things flashy colors, but the design looks okay. We are, however, over on our tonnage. But these rover cores will give us about 2 tons apiece of extra avionics control, and they have a lot of battery. So I made the decision to strip the battery from both of the crew compartments and replace it with fuel, because why not? So I did leave them with a little bit of battery, just in case. It really can't hurt. 150 units of electric charge. Shouldn't weigh that much, and will hopefully help keep costs down also. I see we're probably at about the almost 17,000 range already, and of course that doesn't include a lift vehicle or equipment. And I guess the other issue that I wanted to address with this was its ability to carry cargo crates either to or from the surface, which would hinder our already very delicate Delta V balance. But that is something that we're probably going to have to return to in a little bit. The desire for lights was mentioned, and yes, would actually benefit us during nighttime landings. I've had to do a few of those. And of course the KIS port, so that we can hook it into the main part of the base should we need to refuel it. It'd be nice just to have that option without an engineer on staff, just in case we find ourselves in that situation again. And we'll adjust our utilization on a tank or two, just to make sure that we're still underneath our tonnage, and then we're going to take it outside and just give it a very quick systems check. So here's old me to do that live. Tunk. Random clamps. Oh hey, good. It holds up under earth weight. That's a good sign. That's all I ever do is simulations. Alright, all engines fire, that's good. EVA. Oh, we should probably give you a ladder. Well, that's interesting. It's one way of ladder. Okay then. Well. I think I need a picture of the dismembered heads. There we go. Oh, the fun time glitchiness you get with RSS. Print screen. Perfect. Alright. Oh, it needs comms. I guess? It'd probably be a good idea, right? Yeah, those shouldn't have any issues. We can probably recess that port a little bit. So back to the VAB we go to make some minor adjustments to a profile I'm fairly happy with. We can probably get away with just a short-range comms antenna. We're going to sink the docking port in just a little bit to clear up some room. And then there was the problem of crates. I would very much like to be able to haul KIS containers up from the surface, to awaiting Artemis, which of course has a capacity of being able to carry 2 crates all on its own. That was me adding the lights that we discussed earlier. But anyway, when we strip down parts from the station, instead of just smashing them into the moon to blow them up, we can actually get some money back by bringing them home. And the Artemis certainly has enough overhead capacity, at least the 4L variant does, to be able to afford bringing some cargo back from the moon, at least, you know, parts cost and whatnot. It's not saving a whole lot of money, but it would help us long term, or really if we decided we needed to haul cargo down with the crew, we could do that also. So we've given it a 2 crate capacity. We just need to lower the landing legs a little bit and then make sure we've got clearance for these crates mounted on the underside, where a Kerbal can very easily access them and replace them if necessary. So all in all, I'm okay with this. We're gonna give it a test run. Basically, we're gonna try to put 6 Kerbals on the surface of the moon, and if this thing fails, well, 6 Kerbals will probably die. But at least we'll know. I'm pretty confident on its ability to at least land safely. There's enough life support on the moon currently, and with resupply, it can be extended indefinitely, of course. But also with resupply, we can refuel the lander and get it back up to an orbital Artemis. So we're going to save this as a sub-assembly just to make sure everything works. And then, of course, I forgot to adjust for the avionics. So we're going to save it again as a sub-assembly and then try to figure out later which one's which, because, of course, I got the descriptions exactly even, but not the name of the craft itself. So, yeah, I'll just sort that out later. Anyway, it's time to move on to our secondary project, which is revisiting the Origami Titan. This is our mission to send one of our Origami glider spacecraft to Saturn's moon of Titan and see what the viability of doing science there is. Of course, we have one lander on the ground there already, but it covered like an singular biome. So we're going to try to put this into probably a more equatorial plane, but it does require some additional testing, and for that purpose I have broken out a very old R8 platform. And while this thing is old, it's still using the LR79s, and I'm pretty sure it's a RD108 core stage. I mean, wow, it's old. But really, we just need to propel this thing high enough into the edge of space and give it a nice sharp angle down so that we can simulate what aero capture would look like for the Origami glider itself, and see if we can successfully deploy it in a thick atmosphere. We did have a successful flight of this on Venus eventually after some failure, but we got it ready to test, so let's take it outside, and here's a live version me to go through the testing. And our leftover clamps from the DN series that are too big even for the maximum amount of launch pad. Alright, ignition. All engines lit. Let's go find us a nice high altitude. Yeah, let's take it north, so maybe we have a chance of hitting some land at some point somewhere. So what'd you say, Simulation Gaming? The rest of us who don't speak any Russian would like to know. I mean, unless it's a private conversation, I'm not trying to intrude or anything, but I'm really curious. Oh, I'm not even taking this to orbit. We're just going to do an atmospheric test flight of a glider that's going to be bound for Titan. I'm just trying to get some altitude under it so I can see how it behaves. But since it's going to tighten, it's going to be in a very dense atmosphere. Whoa. No, not showing an engine failure, but there is definitely something very, very off balance here. Or I'm just way too low to be making this much of a turn. I just want to be able to put the glider down on dirt instead of water. Oh, that's awesome. And I have no idea how to pronounce any of those city, town, region names. Vologda. Yaroslav? I'll stop butchering your language now, I'm sorry. Yeah, here's coming up on booster sep. Off and away. Alright, I should be way more leaning into this. We're high enough now. I accidentally took this to space and I did not mean to. Only got 12 more minutes. How do I have roll control? What is this magical engine? RD-108, of course. Ah. I just watched a lot of spy films and paid very close attention to the accents, because accents fascinate me. So I just guess, based on crappy spy films. Fairing sep would have been a good idea. Where did those go? There they are. Let's... No, those are not the correct fairings. Those are the correct fairings. See, all distracted. Just to speed this up, I did not kill the engine. I'm in time warp. That engine is totally still operational. I just want to build some speed so I can see if this heat shield's gonna react the way I think it should. It worked at Venus. I can only assume it's gonna work here. Oh, don't adjust your heading when under time warp. Never, ever, ever. And Miko in like 10 more seconds. I don't know why I didn't just look over at that. No, I too am fascinated by history. I don't know. Certain sections of history, especially. We here in the West, we don't get an education on anything about the goings on in the Soviet Union, so it's always fascinated me a little bit. RCS to arm, throttle to 0. Oh, come on. Pump. Let's see how well this reacts to being in an atmosphere. And hopefully we can slow ourselves down enough. No, I wanted you guys down here. I don't need to do physics time warp. I can do regular time warp. What is that poking through that fairing there? Oh, it's a little bit of our wingtip. Very interesting. I should probably bring up this. So yeah, do you listen to any of the Dan Harmon Hardcore History podcast? He did a really, really fascinating 5 or 6 part series on World War One. That I learned more from that podcast than probably the 3 or 4 books I've read on World War One. And the politics of it are all, especially I would say the fall of the Tsar, the disposition of the Tsar. Simulation gaming, I really wish I could say I had something planned, but honestly, I never expected to get to 1,000 subs. So, no, I don't really have anything planned. And it's coming at, a weird time. I'm actually, out of town on family stuff the next 2 weekends. Oh, there's stuff exploding nearby. Sorry. But, if it happens anytime in the next week or 2, I don't know if I'll be able to do a live stream in time to celebrate it. Oh man, camera shake, come on. That's getting a little ridiculous. Although, wow. That is pretty epic. Oh, sorry, I completely lost my train of thought. Wow, whoa. What just exploded? I think we lost something. Dang it. I forgot to take a screenie. Crap, now I have to do this again to get a screenshot. Oh, no connection. You're kidding me. Well. Dang it. That makes me so mad. We have to run it again. Alright, I'm really sorry that we have to do this again, but I need to know what exploded, and I can't unless we have a connection. So I should probably plot my course out a little better. We come up this way over Nova Scotia. We can get a signal, or if we just go straight west, it looks like we might be able to maintain signal a little better. But yeah, we got up here in the Great Lakes region. Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, and lost connection. So I think we're going to go west this time. Sorry. Hate to run the same test twice. Pretty lazy. What can I say? Oh, I should be gravity turning a lot, actually. Dang it. See? Distracted. Every time. Alright, let's try not to go insanely high. We got... Whoa! Uh-oh. Okay. Well. It survived that. Mostly. No, it looks like we lost an engine and tank and an RTG, so we are actually off balance by quite a bit. But it's this thing being off balance that worries me more. So, decouple. Yeah, we lost the tailplane too. This stupid thing. I mean, if there's any interest in some of the Mars landings being live streamed, I'd be more than happy to do that. I do not remember this thing being so incredibly bouncy. I could be wrong. It could be also that we are way off balance. Master switch. This is how I remember it. With the atmospheric autopilot mod completely enabled. Giving all kinds of excellent control. Oh hey, it flies pretty good. So, what do we have to... Stage. There we go. Shut down. Activate. Yeah, see, that's the part that worries me, is no reverts. First time I kill crew landing on Mars will obviously be in front of a live audience. When it matters. That's my biggest worry, is that I get so distracted in live streams that I can't really do anything very effectively that it will obviously result in the death of the crew. Because there's no other way that's going to go down. But I'm open to it if you guys are alright with me killing off a couple of Kerbals. I've been kind of proud of the fact that I've only killed 2 this entire career. And both of them were well over a year ago. There's still rocket bits exploding somewhere. Oh, hitting the ground, no doubt. Live Mars landing hype. Oh no. Alright. Now that it's being hyped. Science load out on this thing isn't bad. Is that a terminal? Oh, now we have to go scare people. F 15 Gs is nothing for this thing. That's awesome. Oh, I wish so badly sometimes that these buildings had some kind of depth to them. Oh, I can't see my data. Oh, 200 meters. I had plenty of room. Dang it. Great. Now I have to live stream. Mars landing. What have I done? Oh, we are very close to stall speed. Oops. Yeah, that's right. These engines do next to nothing at sea level. or something. It's definitely or something. Trying to burn off this fuel and see how our balance got affected, but I forgot to unlock all of the fuel tanks. That was brilliant. Wow, why did that suddenly change our heading? And what fuel tank were we operating off of? This one. Oh man, yeah, I guess with one engine this thing will run forever and a day. Whoa, why are you nosing down? Splat. Okay. Oh. Back then to the VAB to make some changes to the orbiter section of the spacecraft and the fairing and the heat shield, in hopes that maybe we can keep those little tiny wing sections from poking through the fairing and causing overheat explosions. Yeah, that fairing size is not quite good enough. We're actually going to have to increase the size of this base and then widen the fairings to accommodate. That'll actually help shield that Voyager antenna from some of the atmospheric effects of Aero capture, which the whole spacecraft is going to have to endure, and then the Origami itself will make entry into the atmosphere and hopefully be able to fly around and give us some quality data. Anyway, with all that sized up, we're going to reattach the RA-8 and take it back outside. And I do love KSP, and sequels tend to ruin things. They're never quite as good as the originals. So I wonder in what ways they could really screw up Kerbal Space Program 2. Or if they would even bother. Shower thoughts. Shower thoughts. I'm the exact same way, simulation gaming. I haven't played stock KSP in like 3 years. And 3 years ago when I last tried, it was, I don't know, it just wasn't as fun anymore. Everything was really easy. I mean, in that I could get to all the planets, it was just, everything was there. It didn't hold much challenge, and therefore it didn't really keep my interest. I need some kind of hill to climb, or I don't know, I get bored. The hill has to be climbable, which is why I stopped playing PUBG, is because in Fortnite Battle Royale, I suck at those games so bad. Launching your first rocket in stock KSP or in RSS? Because man, they are broadly different things. Oops. Yeah. Yeah, well, guess I'm going to Eve. And I almost wish that they would get RSS working efficiently enough to where it could run on a lot of lower end machines, because that is the #1 complaint I hear from a lot of people, is that their computer just lacks the processing power to run RSS at any kind of playable level, which makes me really sad. So I think it is such a vast improvement over the stock game as far as challenge and all those other nice things are concerned. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not a stickler for realism. I kind of skirt the rules and scooch around things all the time. I mean, man, how many of my Kerbals should have died from radiation exposure at least 20 times over? Ah, I forgot to regroup the fairings. No, that is the wrong set of fairings. Where's the correct set of fairings? There you are. Come down here. And there we go. Fairings are off. Let's just lean into it. Go get us some velocity here. Oh, exactly. But that's what makes... Oh, yeah. Simulation gaming, it totally doesn't. I mean, I'm kind of thankful because it allows me to stream or record or something using one of the other 4 cores. But I don't know if KSP was optimized for multi-threading. I have actually never tried the Kerbalism mod because I'm scared that I'll kill all of my Kerbals with radiation all the time. It's that extra step that I'm just not quite ready for yet. So I'm curious, UAce, what are the effects on Kerbals? Like, how easy is it to radiate your Kerbals to death? Actually, I don't need to stage in that engine. God, is that a 105 or a 109? Well, it's not going to tell me. It doesn't matter. Decouple. RCS to arm. Let's pull ourselves away a little bit. Blink. Alright, let's see how well this goes. Where are we, and are we going to maintain connection? Alright, so right now we're getting contact through Brownsville. It looks like we'll stay that way for at least a while. So here's hoping. We're going to come down fast and hard. Unlock some fuels here. Actually, let's stage in these engines while we can, just to make sure. Alright, there's the heat shield leaning in. This is all perfectly normal, I assure you. Oh, none of our rocket parts are going to catch up to us, and we're not going to get a screening nearly as epic as we could have. Oh wait, there we go. They're all exploding. Dang it, it doesn't look nearly as good as the last time. Of course not. Sorry, Texas. What blew up? I can't tell. Looks like we've got all our bits intact. Nope, we're missing a wing. How did we lose a wing? Yeah. Oh, we weren't in time warp that time. Yeah. How did we lose a wing? Well, that's super interesting. At least we kept all 3 engines this time. Not even atmospheric autopilot can save us now. Whoa, come on. Yeah, this is gonna go badly. Alright. Yeah, I mean, it exploded to overheating, I'm sure. Procedural control surface spaceplane. Failed during aerodynamic stresses. Really? Okay. So it wasn't heating, it was stresses. That is interesting. How did it get inside the fairing? I wonder if we're gonna we might have to keep a butt plate at the bottom of the fairing, like move the decoupler down between the orbital section and the actual lander, and see if that doesn't change things. But unfortunately, it's probably going to have to wait. I am all out of time for this evening, everyone. I'll let it get back into the VAB, but I really do have to go run and do some homework and stuff. You know, responsibilities and all. So we've got a long time before we need to dispatch this thing, so we will obviously get to future testing, further testing in next week's live stream, provided, of course, we are not doing a Mars landing next week's live stream, which I don't know. Maybe we can. I doubt it. I really doubt it. I don't want to promise anything and then not deliver. So I would say next week we're probably going to be doing this. So yes, of course, you can always find me on the Discord. Yeah, that's going to do it for this one, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. Mars landing hype. I really do appreciate it. And I will see all of you in the next one. So until then, thanks for coming by. I'll see you later.